Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Broadcasting Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury. Welcome to TeacherCast. Thank you so much for making TeacherCast your home for professional development. We have a great show for you today. Today, we're going to be asking the question, how do you teach in your classroom using interactive whiteboards and some amazing interactive software? But before that, I want to introduce you to a great teacher. I want to bring on Denesa Menge today to the program. Denesa, welcome. How are you today?
Good. How are you? Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I've been teaching English and language arts for about 16 years in Oakdale, California. I've taught 8th grade English, and next year I get to teach Project Lead the Way, so I'm excited.
That sounds pretty awesome. And I understand that you've got some pretty amazing kids who are creating a pretty awesome social media presence.
Oh, gosh, yes. We're working on Genius Hour. It's my 4th year doing Genius Hour, and I always do a project with them the second semester. So this year I've been toying with getting our YouTube channel they say famous, so I'm going to use my students' word and say famous. So we're plugging that, getting that monetized and the whole work. So here we go.
Let's start there and tell us a little bit about that. How do you get kids to be so engaged in learning, so completely into a project? Tell us a little bit about some of the things that you're actually doing in class.
I call myself lazy. I use the apps and products that my students are already using, and I pull them in the classroom. Right now, they're actually working on a Snapchat project, which of course they love. They created a new account on Snapchat based on a novel character, and they're creating 10 snaps, either pictures or videos based on the character. They're putting it up to my story, downloading the video, sending it to me. You'll see that on YouTube very soon. So that's just one reason. We use Instagram, Twitter, anything that they already are using, in addition to my Smartboard and SmartAmp and Google Docs and that sort of thing.
So today, of course, we're going to be talking all about interactivity, keeping your kids engaged, keeping your kids really doing some amazing projects. And you might have some questions out there for Denesa and also on how to do some of these things. There's, of course, several great ways to reach out and be a part of our podcast each and every week. We, of course, love it when you find us on Twitter at TeacherCast. Email us at feedback@teachercast.net. Leave us a voicemail over at teachercast.net/voicemail. And of course, you can subscribe to this and all of our shows over on teachercast.net/audio and teachercast.net/video. So, Denesa, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that you're doing in your classroom. I understand that your kids are using something called SmartAmp, right? Now, we all know about smart boards. We're going to talk a little bit about those today and how interactivity works. But you're using something pretty innovative called SmartAmp. Tell us a little bit about what that actually is.
SmartAmp is an interactive software where students can be in groups. They can be singles. They can be full class. In our class, other classes, I collaborate with, or my students collaborate with other classes in across the country and other states. Hang on, baby. And it's a great way for them to connect and collaborate and research. And it's student-led. They add videos. They can add pictures. They can add text. It's just a great way for students to take what they're learning and apply it.
So tell us a little bit about how the AMP system works. What kind of devices do you have, or what kind of devices do you need to have every kid be able to use the AMP software?
It's a cross-platform because it's web-based. It could be on your Chromebooks. It could be laptops. It could be PC, iPads, Macs, cross-platform. So anything with an internet connection.
And when we're looking at some of the projects, what have you created, or what are you currently working on with the software?
When I first started, honestly, I didn't get SmartAmp, and Smart will be the first ones to admit that I didn't get it because I was like, okay, I get it for math, right? Collaborate on math projects or problems, or science, figuring out different, I'm losing my train of thought, but just that seemed more hands-on, more that sort of thing. So my first project with my students was creating a story, and I put pictures on the screen of, in the space of different items, and they had to collaboratively come up with a story based on those pictures. So I gave him a first line, I gave him a middle line, and I gave him a last line, and it turned out amazing. And I couldn't believe that just such a simple tool would pull such collaboration. And then from there, I went into, for 7th grade, we talked about plot and what the mapping it out. And so we'd watch Full House, because who doesn't love Full House? And so as they watch in their groups, I would have the roller coaster on the screen, and they had to pull in which part of the roller coaster was the part of the plot graph. And then they'd have to collaboratively decide through their chat box what part was exposition, what part was rising action, climax, falling action, resolution. Most recently, we've been working on the space race. We listened to, or actually before we dive in, I wanted to know what students knew about the space race. So in their collaborative groups, they put what they already knew, and then we watched a short video through SmartAmp. They watched it, they talked about it, and then they researched each of the people in the video. It's like a 2-minute video overview of space race and who was important and why, and they got to decide who won the space race, because the video didn't say, and how they thought, who won. And most of them chose the Soviets, which was interesting, because growing up with all that, we know we won. But and then we listened to JFK's speech and went from there. So I love it for diving into the information and students owning it. I do Eleanor Roosevelt, who I love, and I could teach the information. We can, all teachers, we're good at our jobs. We can teach the information, but we give students some broad questions or some broad overview, and they dive in and do the research themselves. They learn so much more than I could ever cover. And that's what I love SmartAmp for.
Now, somebody out here listening to the podcast might say, but I have access at my school to another set of tools that does something similar. What makes Smart and SmartAmp stand out amongst the other competitors that are out there in the field?
And I agree with them. And I was that person at the beginning. When I first was introduced to SmartAmp, I was like, well, I have Google for that. I have Google Docs. They can work collaboratively that way. We have the slides that can do that. It's just the space is built differently. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can create different, as I move my hands all over, sorry, bookmarks for where you want them to go. You can mix up the groups yourself. You can choose the groups. It could be random. You can connect. They drag in. They control the space. Like it's almost an infinite space, if that makes sense. And it's just a different feel. And it's built for education. Smart has always been, in my book, they always listen to the teachers, and it's exactly what teachers I feel they need. And every time I get a teacher to look at SmartAmp, they love it. And the kids love it because it is collaborative. They can be working side by side, or they can be across countries in a different time zone working in the chat box. So it's real time. It's easy to use, easy to navigate. The kids can drag and drop. It's super easy to use.
Now, I bet
that explains it.
no, it does. But I'm listening to you give this wonderful explanation going, I bet it takes a long time to put together lessons that are this engaging for your students.
No, I don't think so. I think the first time if you plan too hard, I think that's too much. If you do broader spaces, I think, where the students do the legwork, it's more valuable.
And is SmartAmp software, is this something that's in your district or in your building, or is this something that you decided, I'm going to give this a try with my students?
Being a Smart Exemplary Educator, I was access to it early. And so then I got the subscription to it. But since then, it's been growing in our district. So I think we're up to, I would say half our, I know most of our elementary teachers are using it. A lot of our junior high teachers are using it. So almost half, I would think.
And I know you had mentioned, there is still a need to use the other applications, whether it be the Microsoft stuff, the Google stuff here. If you check out our blog post, which we have on this, it does show off that SmartAmp software is a Google for Education partner. So tell us a little bit about how, if I am in a Google district and I want to be also using the SmartAmp software, how do these things blend together?
So with any of the Google partners, students log in using their Google ID, so there's no additional passwords. It's now linked to Google Classroom, so I can upload my classes into SmartAmp through Google Classroom. So there's no extra work for the teacher. Students are dropped right in. So if I created a learning space for them, when they open it, they're pulled right into it. So there's no extra clicking. It's just typing in SmartAmp. They click this login button and they're in.
So, Denesa, I want to ask you a few other questions about interactivity. Recently I was doing some trainings in my own district on interactive boards, and somebody asked me a relatively simple question, but one that's kind of been with me since the training. She says, why would I want to do this? Why would I want to create something on this interactive board? I just don't understand the concept. So I want you to kind of to wind up here and kind of help me explain it to somebody who might be listening to this going, I have a whiteboard, I have markers. Why do I want to take that next jump? Or the person that's saying, my district just put this thing on my wall. It's a projector, right? That's all it is.
I think that's the word. Yeah. With the interactive whiteboards, it's about the student, right? We're teaching for the students. So you want them to engage and be involved with the content. So what better way to do that than have them coming up to the board and manipulating either words or problems or that sort of thing. If we're lecturing the whole time, we're missing out on the engagement piece. Yeah, I might be, yelling and dancing or whatever up front. But if they're not involved actually in the content, actually hands-on manipulating it, then the students aren't going to be fully engaged. So I always say, just try it once. And it doesn't have to be hard. It could be, my very first SMART lesson was vocabulary. How boring is vocabulary, right? I hate vocabulary. Yeah, we all hate it. My students hate it. But taking a simple piece, putting the word on a smart board or interactive whiteboard, drawing ink over it and then hiding the definition behind all that. The students erase it. They get excited, right? You've shown the word to the rest of the class. They write it down. And then they used to drag it out. They were so excited and so engaged, and they couldn't wait to do the next one, if that makes sense. So that one little action, getting kids up to the board, erasing, pulling things out, flipping things over, whatever, even just simply writing a problem, it raises the engagement. And it raises their attention, and so they're more involved.
I love the stories that you're sharing because it's obvious that your students are doing some amazing things, and it doesn't seem like this is taking you that long to put together to create these interactive lessons. I wanted to kind of bring up something we didn't talk about in the beginning. You said that you are a smart exemplary educator. What does that mean?
Yeah. I had to put up an application very similar to Google Certified Innovator. You have an application, you do a video, and Smart goes through all these, and you're showing that you're using their technology, in an innovative way. So I've been in that since 2011, I think. Yeah, it's been. I was looking at my certificate on the wall. Yeah, 2011. So there's quite a few of us from all over the world now. With that status. So it's pretty cool.
That is pretty amazing. What does it mean to your students that they have an educator that is thinking literally outside the classroom and continuing their education and building that PLN and bringing the world to them?
Oh, it makes the world smaller. I think they like that I'm, Google Certified Innovator, Smart Exemplary Educator. I think they know that I work hard for them. And I think that they put value in that. Not only do I care about them, but I care about bringing, the world to them. They've had the opportunity to collaborate with my friend Boris in the Netherlands. They've collaborated with Slovakia. We're working on a blogging collaboration with a friend in another state. I mean, it just makes the world smaller, and it makes learning more interesting. Really, it's real life now.
And now you're also a Flipped Learning International Ambassador. That's a new one for me. What was that one?
That came about with Flip Class. I am a Flip Class member, I guess, on Twitter Monday nights, and then. Josh Bergman, right? He put this together, another application, because I do flip class learning. I take the boring stuff out of class. My students watch, a 2 to 5 minute video, and they bring their knowledge to the classroom and they do the real world activity. So I've been doing that for 3 years and got into that. So yeah, it's been a wild ride.
By the way, I love your energy. It's contagious here. I can just imagine what it's like to be in your class.
And it's funny. I haven't had any coffee today. And my students will be like, "You haven't had coffee?" And I was like, "I know. I'm like this all the time." It's true. It's real.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your students, but also those who are around you. When other teachers are seeing how easy it is to create these interactive lessons using the smart software, using Google software, using anything, how is it to sit there with another teacher and go, look, you guys can do this too, and look at how easy this is?
It can go one of two ways. Some are intimidated. And I have to remind them, I didn't just start one day and do all this at once. Choose one thing, like the vocabulary. That's what I started with my smart board, just vocabulary. I went, oh my gosh, that worked. And then I added something else. If something didn't work, I dropped it and moved on. So that's my big thing to teachers when I'm mentoring teachers or teaching teachers. Just choose one thing and go there. It could be a Kahoot, it could be quizzes, it could be anything really. And if it works, keep doing it. If it doesn't work, drop it and try something else. I love to mentor teachers and say, okay, what are you planning for tomorrow or next week? Because, we like to know what's going on. But, and let's look at it. What can we do to make it more engaging? What can we do to make it student focused, student centered? So it takes it off you and puts it on them. And I think just taking those baby steps really helps teachers.
I love the concept of baby steps, and also as a tech integration specialist, tech coach, and you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Pick that one thing or find that, if one thing doesn't resonate with the teacher, try something else. Yeah. And one of the things that you had mentioned you're trying, and I'm trying to get the plug in here at the end, your YouTube channel. You said you're monetizing a YouTube channel, but this is your classroom. How does all that work together? How do you go to your boss and say, I'd like to make some money on YouTube?
I ask forgiveness a lot. That's the same thing with robotics. I get Spheros in the classroom for the same reason. But I've been toying with this for a long time. I always talk about my students that our class would be really fun to watch online. It would be a great TV show. I have a student in here right now and she's like, yeah. But and the kid's like, yeah, you should do that. So I was talking about it, I think in November, and the kid's like, you have to do that for Genius Hour this year. And I said, okay. So I'm finally doing it. So I monetized the site. I've been doing videos once a week. The kids all had to get YouTube permission slips. They already have through our technology policy that they get signed at the beginning of the year, whether or not they can be online. But this is just reassurance that can be on YouTube. So I know the parents understand what's happening there. So and we're going from there. So it's been fun. It's fun to show what we do in class and what my class actually looks like. Because I know sometimes when teachers talk about it, it sounds like the perfect classroom. My classroom is not perfect. I think the other day, one of my videos just last week was I got a new Donor's Choose product in, and it had those pop bubble wrap. Thank you. And they wanted to pop it. So the last 5 minutes class, what did we do? We popped bubble wrap. So, it's just, you go with the flow, and that's what we're showing.
I think that is a great title for this podcast, which is just go with the flow and see what happens. It's really, really cool. Talking today to Denesa Menge from California. Denesa, just in kind of closing here, what advice do you have for anybody that's looking to reach out and try some interactive whiteboard lessons, interactive software like the Smart Amp software here? What kind of advice can you give out to those teachers who are like, I'm not sure about this all yet, but I really want to try?
Reach out. Smart Exchange online, if you Google Smart Exchange, has a lot of lessons and webs already done in Smart Amp, Smart Notebook, interactive software already done for you. Hang on, baby. So they don't have to reinvent the wheel. They can use what's already out there. Any presentation that I do with teachers, that they can contact me. I'm forever your helper, your mentor. And so if they have an idea and they're not sure how to do it, contact me. I'm on Twitter, I'm online, email, call, I'm good. Because I think working together helps teachers be better for their students. And that's what we're here for. So just taking that one thing, one new thing, right?
And where can people find you on Twitter?
I'm at Jepson, Jepson.
And what about your website?
Edtechmenge.blogspot.
Very, very cool.
Or blogger, my bad.
Denesa, I want to say thank you so much for your time tonight. I would love to have you back on to not only showcase the great things that's happening in your classroom, but also to maybe we can plug that website a little bit with the YouTube videos. I'm really, really interested in seeing some of the stuff that your kids are working on. And, if anybody out there is looking for more information on smart amps, smart technologies, tell us one more time, where can we go to find out and get some help with that?
Smarttech.com is definitely the way to go. But if you're looking for lessons or stuff that's already made, it's exchange.smarttech.com.
Excellent. And again, one more time, thank you to Denesa for coming on. And also thank you to our friends over at Smart for helping put this show together. There's, of course, several great ways that you can reach out and be a part of this and all of our shows over on TeacherCast. You can, of course, find us on Twitter at TeacherCast. Email us at feedback@teachercast.net. Leave me a voicemail at teachercast.net/voicemail. And, of course, all of our shows, audio and video, can be subscribed on iTunes and YouTube over on teachercast.net/audio and teachercast.net/video. On behalf of everybody here on the TeacherCast Educational Broadcasting Network, my name is Jeff Bradbury, reminding you to keep up the great work in your classrooms and continue sharing your passions with your students.